All right, welcome back. I hope you guys all enjoyed your lunch. We are going to go ahead and start things again. First of all, I have one quick announcement. Dr. Carbone has actually, he mentioned it earlier that there's an article that he just recently had published in Nature magazine, and he has made copies available for you all at the registration desk. So stop by and be sure to pick one of those up. And so our next panel is going to be moderated by our very own Anna McCurdy. Anna McCurdy, she lost her husband Mike to mesothelioma, and she also is our medical liaison for the foundation. So take it away, Anna.
Thank you all for coming. The name of our panel is Community, and some of us, although we know what a community is, at least I found the title a little vague. But in talking to everybody, I think that being a part of the foundation, we realized that for us, community means so much more. And it's really never having to face the road with mesothelioma alone ever again. So the foundation is here to get involved with all of us at any point in kind of our journey with the disease. It might be at the point of diagnosis where we don't even understand it or the word or what it means. It might be finding treatments or expert physicians. It might be clinical trials. It could be any number of things for patients on the patient end. For caregivers, it might be just finding somebody that they can talk to or lean on during the time that they are helping their family member through the treatments. And if that very unimaginable time comes, like it did for me, it's often finding that compassionate support that only really those of us who have mesothelioma as the diagnosis associated with that death really understand. And so the foundation has really been kind of a lifeline for many of us. So I'd like to introduce some of our community members who are on the panel today. And each of them will tell you a little bit about how they got involved with the foundation, what it has meant for them, and what we're hoping to do from this panel is actually find even more ways with your ideas and with their ideas on how the foundation might help everyone. And so I'm going to start at the far end. This is Laura Mosca, and she is the devoted caregiver of Rich and has been for 6+ years. Then we have Janelle Beadle. Did I pronounce that right? And Janelle is a pleural patient. And then next to her and next to him, Heather Bond St. James and her husband Cameron. So Cameron is the caregiver, and Heather is a 12-year? 7-year pleural survivor. Rich Mosca, Laura's better half. Or maybe she's the better half, not sure. And Rich is a peritoneal patient, 6+ years. And then on my right is Mary Schakowsky. And Mary had been a caregiver for about 5 years, and just lost her husband, Tom, in October. And so we'll start with Laura.
In December of 2006, and that completely changed our world. We never expected it. And I didn't find the foundation until after he had had his first surgery and had started chemotherapy. So I was left totally without any sort of support group that knew what we were going through. And my friends tried to be helpful, but really didn't understand what this cancer was and how serious it was. And even when he was ill, people would say to me, but he looks so great, how could he be so sick? What we've gotten from this foundation is unmeasurable. We've made friendships, connections. Even when we would be at the hospital, he was treated at Columbia. We only live about 40 minutes away. We've had people stay at our home. We've offered people rides, and we offer to anybody actually here, if you're being treated in New York and you need a place to stay, you need a ride, you need recommendations, you need anything, please always feel free to call on us. We're right in the area. Rich is retired. He will come and drive you anywhere, pick you up. We know how unsettling it is sometimes if you're not from the New York area. You know, people come from places and they come to New York and they're like, oh my goodness, you know, never been in the city. We'll meet people in the city. We go then for dinner or have a fun time too. And that's what people don't, my friends will be like, how do you make friends from the Mesothelioma Foundation? And I say, you don't understand. It's a connection that you would never have with anybody else. And that's the real basis, I think, from this foundation, is when you get on a caregiver call, there's somebody at the other end that knows what you're going through that, like, your friends would not understand, or your family, because you're in the same boat. And that's what this foundation has really meant to me when we talk about community.
So now we'll hand it over to Rich and see
Yes,
how
I
he
am
can
retired,
compliment.
and according to my wife, I sit on the couch and watch TV all day, so I'm available to anybody.
Facebook.
Is Facebook? Yes, we've. No, not all the time. So, reflecting back, I remember when I was first. The initial diagnosis really wasn't mesothelioma, and we spent so much time just trying to figure out what was going on. And Laura actually wouldn't let me get on the internet because of all the stuff that's out there that's mixed in with all the good information. There's a lot of good information out there, but there's a lot of really, the best way I can say it is garbage information. And once we, I think the way we initially found the foundation was through one of another caregiver that I was just on her email list. And then when I finally got to know Mary, then Mary comes up in everything, doesn't she? She's all over the place. It just became so much easier to deal with the disease itself. There were people out there that, where's Bonnie? Bonnie, probably the first picture I saw on the Meso Foundation website was Bonnie with her horse. And the first symposium we went to, she's a real person. You know, we were coming back from Capitol Hill and she was kind of following us. And I said, gee, that's Bonnie. And we just, you know, we've been best of friends ever since. And you know, when Bonnie needs to talk to somebody that's a patient, she calls me or she emails me. And you know, it's just the way we do things. And it's what Laura said, there's nothing like it. There is absolutely nothing like this. And I'm a board member also, and our job is to put ourselves out of business, and we're going to put ourselves out of business. I know it.
So, Rich, I have a question. Did you find the foundation prior to actually starting treatment? I know you said there was a time that... It was after. Okay.
It was once I got to know people, when I started to... Mary had actually left. I only saw Mary once before she left to come down to Washington. And it was a little slower just connecting after that. But even in our doctors, in Dr. Taub's office, Susan, who is the nurse oncologist there, anytime somebody comes in and is visiting after their treatment and somebody new is there, she's always pushing us in there saying, would you talk to somebody? And through all that, the foundation became available, and it's been a great ride.
Right.
For 6 years.
I think that one of the goals we're trying to have is to have the foundation more visible for people right at the very beginning who don't know where to go and where the specialists are, and what the different treatments mean. As you heard this morning, there's a lot of controversy on that, and but so you have to get to the right people. And I know from our own experience, it was after the fact that we got to the foundation. Still very helpful, but it would have been great to have that information early on.
Word of mouth is invaluable here, and I can't tell you how many times my daughter calls me up one day and she says, I was just talking to somebody in my office and she heard that you have mesothelioma, and her friend's father has it, and he lived 3 miles from me. And it was, it was just that word of mouth and just that community feeling that she knew that if she told me, I would reach out to her. And I think everybody up here does the same thing, and I'm sure everybody out here does the same thing. And that's really the strength of this community.
Great. Janelle?
Hello, I was diagnosed in 2007, pleural mesothelioma, and at the time I didn't know anyone else that had it or anything about it. It was really scary, and had a 4-year-old son, and I just turned 31, and it was probably 2009 when I came across it on the website and found the foundation and started connecting with people. And then I seen they were having a symposium, and so I went to it, and that's really where it all started. And it was just really nice to connect with everyone, and look forward to seeing them every year and doing the advocacy in New York. And I don't know.
So
I look forward to seeing Heather and everyone every year.
Right.
It's
Well,
nice.
one of the things, where are you from?
I'm from Indiana.
Okay. And I don't know, were there other patients that you had ever met with mesothelioma?
No, not at all.
Right. And so I think that, one of the things that we learned was that we weren't alone when we finally got to the foundation.
Yes.
And I don't know whether that was something you experienced.
Yeah, and then in 2010, I had a reoccurrence in the peritoneal. So at that time, I had already been with the foundation and, knew what specialist to go to other than, because I already had, opposite of the pleural. Had to pick a different surgeon. And I just felt like I was in the right hands, being able to get the correct information, and I felt comfortable with my selection.
Great. You want to pass it along to Mary, and if you think of something else, feel free to join in. Yeah. Oh. Mary talks a bit, so I might have to go.
No, I tell everybody I'm a thinker. Everybody says I'm a talker. So we'll see. What can I say except ditto to everything the guys have said here? We first became contact with the foundation just after my husband Tom was diagnosed in 2007. We did the internet search. What's on the internet is true on the internet. But we did that because we didn't know where else to go. And we had adopted the attitude, if we don't know what we're fighting, we can't fight. So we wanted to know what it was, what was out there for us. And so Tom contacted the foundation, and here comes Mary popping up again. And beyond the medical references and guidance to good doctors and good medical information, below the surface we found a gold mine of people. We found you. I can look out and I can see, I can walk up to any one of you and know that I can get a hug. And that's a treasure. That's part of that gold mine we found. So as part of giving back, we said, give people our number, our telephone number. Tom says, I'll talk to patients, and I said, I'll talk to caregivers. And we made it very clear that our telephone rang 24/7. And they'd say, well, I don't want to call you in the middle of the night. And they said, but isn't that when the ghosts jump out of the closet? Well, yeah, that is. I said, well, if I'm asleep, I will wake up because I have been where you are. And I know that you have been places I will be. So we're in this together. And we discovered that family. We discovered you. And that's the gold mine we found below the medical, below the technical stuff. So that's our connection with the foundation, and we just love it.
So Mary, you have a unique position in that you have experienced both. Well, you've had the patient with the foundation, the caregiver role with the foundation, and now one of the bereaved group. So.
And my husband, Pat, he had pleural mesothelioma, and he had an EPP, and they removed the lung, the lining, part of the pericardium, rebuilt that, over half the diaphragm, rebuilt that, resected a lot of the chest wall muscle, one complete rib and most of two other ribs. And then he went through radiation and chemo and chemo and chemo. Then he passed away in October, middle of October this last fall. And even in that, I have found support and love and encouragement from you. And our goal was to give back. Not only give back, but to pay it forward. And so we have just been there like you have been there for us. And I personally thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And now Heather and her husband, Cameron.
Hi, I'm Heather Von St. James, and I am a 7-year pleural mesothelioma survivor. I was diagnosed in 2005, just 3.5 months after our only child was born. So I'm facing life as a new mom and as a mesothelioma patient. And we got referred to Boston, and in all of that, in the mail one day, shows up a card saying a donation has been made in your name to the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation from one of my former hair clients. And I was like, oh, that's cool, and I threw it in the pile of mail, and it got buried, and I didn't really give it much more thought. Until about 3 more years later, I met a wonderful woman and her twin daughters. Since then, Lana has passed away, but her daughters are still friends of ours. And they said, we're going to go to this Mesothelioma Foundation Symposium. Would you like to go with us? It's in Washington, D.C. We really want to go, and we really want you to go with. And it just so happened that I was there with my mom. While my mom was on vacation, my daughter and I came to accompany her for this conference thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm already there. I'll go for a day, see what this is all about. What can it hurt? And I was skeptical, I'll admit it, because I was like, what is this foundation thing? Yeah. And I went, and it changed my life. We felt very much alone upon diagnosis and very scared, and we vowed to be a source of hope for others. And I said, I don't want anybody to have to go through that horrible alone feeling and not knowing that we had at first, and told my doctor, refer people to me, I'll talk to them and do whatever I can. But it wasn't until the foundation that I met people who understood that and had that same passion to give back and to pay it forward. And like you said, the phone is open 24 hours a day, and it's so amazing to see year after year. I call it summer camp. I loved summer camp growing up. This is like my summer camp, except for it's spring. But coming back year after year, the people fill my heart and have left marks on my heart forever. And it's like extended family. And the good that this community does for one another, I've never seen anything like it. We're the most compassionate, most amazing, strongest blankety blank people I've ever met in my life.
Amen.
people go through to beat this disease and show up and are stronger and more resilient, and what the caregivers go through, and I'm in awe and honored to be in the company of these people in this room, and our lives are forever changed for it. And so that was 4 years ago, my first symposium, and boy, I think I'm one of the first to sign up every year when this comes around again. And I'm honored to be a part of it. And Mary has become, there she is again, a very, very important part of my life. And I'm just touched and honored to be in this room. So
I think Mary wanted to just comment on something before Cameron takes the microphone.
I'm really thinking. I just wanted to add to what Heather said about that sense of being alone. When Tom was first diagnosed, we never heard the word mesothelioma. And the information didn't come from our family doctor after Tom had the thoracentesis, and for the results, because he was out of town, we talked to his resident. And he said, oh yes, the report is mesothelioma, and there's no cure. Do you have any questions? Well, duh. No. He says, well, if you have any questions, there's lots of information on the internet, and hung up.
Wow.
And there we sat. It was like, oh, holy cow. You know? But that's that, and even getting in touch with an oncologist in our town, they knew nothing. They knew nothing about mesothelioma. He knew the word. And as he was talking to us, it was almost like he had researched the night before and was just repeating what he had read. It was almost rote information. And so we commented that we were thinking about going to the University of Michigan, which is the big medical center in Michigan. And you could see this man just almost wilt with relief that he didn't have to deal with us because he didn't know what to do. So not only were we feeling alone in terms of people, our friends and family that knew nothing about what this disease was, the doctors didn't either. And there were times that sense of aloneness was almost overwhelming. And then comes the foundation and the family and the support and the, hey, we're in the same boat. I understand, I know the word, I know what it's about. In the foundation, we have doctors that know mesothelioma beyond what the word and how to pronounce it. And so I just wanted to say amen to her. That sense of aloneness is not there anymore. It disappeared, thanks to the foundation and thanks to you.
Just want to try. I forgot what I was going to say.
Poor Cameron.
I'll tell you what, the little things about this foundation. Now, there's a guy sitting up front here right in the middle, snapping pictures for the last 2 days. Yep. Rob Grayson. Rob, raise your hand. No, stand up. Because Rob worked for the foundation several years back. Never forgot him. Never forgot him. I only met him like 2 or 3 times, but I never forgot him because of what he was to us. And that's and there's just another generation of Rob Graysons here. Mm-hmm. And we just I saw him for the first time in 5 years the other day, and I looked at him and I said, I know him, and then and it's like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. So that's what really happens here. It's we don't forget. We don't leave tomorrow and forget about this for another year. We all stay together. We really do. It's not something that we just come like a Microsoft convention and you go away and you go back to your job or you go back to what you're doing. We stay in contact all the time. And if we don't, even if we're not talking or emailing, we're thinking about, I'm thinking about Mary, I'm thinking about Heather, I'm thinking about Bonnie, I'm thinking about Julie, I'm thinking about all the people that I've met over the years, and they're always there. They're always there, and I know they're, Marlon, I forgot about Marlon. How could I forget about you, Marlon? You won't let me.
So the message for those of you that maybe this is your first year, it's your turn. It's your turn to talk. For those of you that this is maybe your first time here, take this to heart because we won't forget you. We will be here for you. just like everybody's been for us. So know that you have just joined a family.
Cameron, you're on.
Well, funny you should say that, because this actually is my first time here. But I feel like I've been here for the last 4 years. As Heather said, 4 years ago was her first time. And when she came back, she really did say, wow, it was like summer camp for adults, because she finally met people that she could connect with. Our stories were similar to other people's stories. Our struggles were the same. In regular life, I don't meet many people that I can share mesothelioma stories with that they get. It's kind of like, oh, you did what, or what happened? Okay. No real connection. And it was obvious that when Heather came back, there was a big connection. And she wasn't the same person. And she's been begging me for the last 4 years to come here. I've been here virtually, or in spirit, but this is the first year that I said, okay, that's it. I absolutely have to go. I have to meet these great people. And I've,
Please, because it's in Vegas.
Eddie found out.
yeah.
The secret's out.
No, I actually thought it was going to be in D.C., but yeah. And online, I've had conversations with a few people, but it is so nice to come here and actually have a conversation and meet people that share the same experience. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, I think that, we use the internet a lot, obviously. Our website has lots of information. We have the phone support groups. We call people. I call the newly bereaved usually. I know Rich is on with new patients, and Heather, and, so we use a lot of ways of reaching people. But it really is the in-person thing that even if you can only come once, you know who they are when you're on the phone. You know who they are when you're on the internet or on Facebook. That in-person connection just really does it. It just, it's there all the time. But we know that some people can't travel, and that's why we're doing the live streaming now and, improving the website and hoping that, more people will go on because it's lots of information there. So, Janelle, I wanted to ask you something. So you came to the foundation after starting treatment also, correct? Yes. And did you notice, one of the things I think that's hard is, at least I know for us, it was, wow, why didn't I know about that earlier, And, why didn't I know there was an expert like Mary who knew all the doctors and the centers and the clinical trials, which are so vitally important and, are going to be the thing that are going to find better treatments and a cure. And, personally, from the concern all of us have, not only for everyone here, but for our children or anyone who may have had exposure, early detection is the other thing that we're all looking for. And, so it means so much to get all together and do that. But, did you have a problem in the sense that you felt cheated because you didn't have that connection earlier, or that you thought you should, I didn't get to the right doctor, and,
I felt like I did get to the right doctor, so that was a good thing. But, I wish I would have known sooner about the foundation, just to connect with people, because I still, you're still so confused, and you don't know, just because you talk to one doctor and they say to do this or do that, if that's really what you need to be doing. So it would have been nicer to be able to talk to people that's already been through it and how they made their choice. And
I think also, with the fact that Mary is so willing to take calls, so if you have a question, she can explain, what a treatment might mean or, what it involves. Right.
When I do come across new patients, like someone will say, can you talk to this person? And they came across you on Facebook and they see that you have mesothelioma, their mom has it, and just been diagnosed, and I'll talk to them on the phone or however they want to talk, and that's the first thing I say, get connected with Mary, go online, get on the foundation, and then I connect them, to some of the private groups, support groups, and so that they're, getting the good, correct information right away before they can make their decisions, which would have been nice for all of us to be able to do that first.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the other things that, like before each person came up here, I wanted to be very sure they knew that we were using their names and that, we were live streaming, because the foundation's very careful about confidentiality. We're really into HIPAA laws, and, what you want to tell, you are allowed to tell. But we do not want to be the ones to breach your confidentiality. So we're very careful about that. And I think all of you, would concur with that. So, another thing that we do to protect that privacy is for the support calls that we have, it's a private access code. I mean, the calls are advertised on the website, the dates are there, but you cannot call in unless we have a connection to you personally, and verify who you are, because we want it to be a safe place and we want it to be a confidential place where people can call in, because we say to each other things that we don't tell other people outside of this small group, because often they just don't understand what is going through our head. They don't have the conception a loss is a loss is a loss. But when meso's involved, there's a whole gamut of other issues, involved with it. So, does anybody else want to say something?
The other thing that I think is so important is the activism and the advocacy that the foundation encourages. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I have this, after I got through with all my treatments and stuff, couldn't go back to work. I was like, now what? Kind of went through PTSD, like my career was done. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom, and wow, this isn't what I signed up for. But now what? And the foundation has given new purpose. You can go and talk to your senators and your representatives. You can actually make a difference with making sure that funding remains. The more they make sure that our voice is heard. And I don't know of any other place that really encourages that with other, I don't know about other cancer things, because I'm not really involved with any other ones. But it's the difference that they make in the government, that we can actually go and have our voice heard. And I know that's a huge part of why it's so popular in Washington, D.C., and you can go online and do it here, and I really encourage everybody to do that, because it's so important with all the funding that they were talking about and with the sequestration and all that stuff. Make your voice heard, and to have a platform, you don't just have to do nothing. If you want to do nothing, but being here shows that you want to do something and you want to learn. And having that voice is so important. And I know I'm got a voice and I'm going to use it. And a friend of mine gave me my voice a few years ago, and she keeps encouraging me. And these people are amazing, and so keep it up and support the foundation with everything you can do. I'm proud to keep doing it.
From my own personal point of view, my own personal satisfaction, I've met so many wonderful people. You heard the doctors panel this morning talk about the Department of Defense and getting funding from the Department of Defense. We wouldn't have gotten that without this foundation. I've been so fortunate to sit on some of those panels at the Department of Defense reviewing those research grants. Tom and I sat on one together. I don't know, probably some of the best times of my life, just sitting there with Tom and trying to help everybody. And it's such a great personal feeling to know that we reviewed these grants and we were funded for grants, that I was part of that, and it was just such a great feeling. And we went out to dinner with Tom and Mary too.
So we did.
So and that's really what it's about. It's that inner feeling of helping everybody else and knowing who we're helping. I think maybe that's what it is. It's knowing who we're helping. Mm-hmm. It's not just helping. It's knowing who we're helping. So, dear, I felt you.
We purposely set them apart.
It's 20 years of marriage. That's the other great thing about coming here is you can see where your research dollars are going. I know sometimes the doctors and the researchers, we don't exactly understand what they're talking about, and I've learned more medical terminology since learning about mesothelioma than I ever wanted to know. But I think, I don't know, like Heather says, I don't know about other cancer organizations, luckily, that this is probably the only place where researchers that we give grant money to come back and tell us what they're working on. And sometimes it fizzles out, but sometimes it sounds really promising. And to me, that's great that I can see where my donations and this foundation's donations are going to with the research dollars so that there's hope, you know, for a cure. Maybe that breakthrough will come through tomorrow or the next day to find some way to beat this disease into the ground. And I think that's the greatest, one of the greatest things about these symposiums are the doctors are here, the scientists are here, the researchers, the patients, the caregivers. Everybody comes together. I don't think there's too many symposiums or conventions where that happens. Usually it's just the doctors or the patients, but here everybody's together, and the doctors and the scientists and the researchers are willing to talk to you. They don't feel they're above the patients. They want to help. They're here. They're compassionate. And I think this is one disease where they really, really care and are trying to help everybody.
So we wanted to, I'm sorry, did you want to say something? Okay. We wanted to ask the audience, and I don't know whether anybody listening in has any suggestions, but, you know, are there things now that we've mentioned some of the things the foundation provides, are there things that you've thought about that, well, if we only had, or if we could, obviously all of us pray that we never had to know about mesothelioma, and so that's not what I mean, but how the foundation can help all of you. Is there anybody that has a suggestion or a question about how we do things and that maybe a better way of doing them? Because I have to tell you, the staff is constantly talking about, you know, new ways and better ways of doing things. Or, for instance, we just added the spiritual groups because there was, you know, a real need for that from part of the community. Some don't need that end of it, but there was a large group that had been asking. And so now we have Rabbi Barbara and Reverend Eric, who have been instrumental, and Ginger, who have been instrumental in getting those going and have been very well accepted. So is there anyone that has any ideas or something for the symposium that, you know, we could add to?
Hold on, Paul. We want to get the... Hey, Todd.
One of the things I found that we're from New Mexico, and there's no treatment centers, so we have to travel either to Houston or Philly or further away, and we know nothing of those cities. And I know that lots of people have been treated at the city hospitals and stuff, and little by little we found information on, like in Houston, that there's extended stay places, and I've heard on the website that different people have opened their homes. People travel far, but a lot of people never get those contacts, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we could put things on the site for each of the cities and each of the big hospitals that would help people focus in on places that they could stay, or if there's other members that have opened their homes up, or phone numbers, that kind of thing.
Right. Oh, I think that it's an excellent idea. We probably would not post people's names, but there would be a way to make a connection, and I'm looking at Melinda, but I'm sure there's a way that we could have a connection.
Even if we put something up saying if you're going to Houston,
Right.
contact us, because we have people in Houston that would be willing to reach out to you.
But I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
It would definitely be helpful to us, and I know
Sure.
there's probably other people in here that feel totally lost. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to go to Boston. I've never been there before. I don't know anything about it. How do I figure out?
Right.
No,
Oh,
great
that's
idea.
Perfect. It's not a problem, I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty of people that we'd more than
Great.
willing to help.
And many of us that don't live where you do went out of state, so we understand exactly what you're saying.
I can't see all of you, so. There was an interesting comment that was made from the panel this morning about the holistic approach and resources for that, and I actually followed up with Dr. Krug, thank you. And he directed me to an herbal app, but I thought that what he was talking about was that there was something at his center's website that was more of a resource in terms of here are some holistic approaches that could be taken. So I'm wondering, and I'm a newbie, I'm a novice to all of this, and I certainly don't know every inch of the foundation's website yet, but I'm wondering if there would be some way that we could document the different holistic approaches that people have had success with. And I don't know how the foundation would go about doing that. I can already imagine, you don't want to just throw up anything there that, Cam Deaver tried X supplement.
Right. Right, because we do follow the traditional type. Not that patients don't have the right to do other types of treatment, but I think Mary should answer this. Is she in here? No. Okay.
I can't tell you how many times at this conference people have told me, "Go ask Mary that."
Yeah. Well, see,
I love her too.
Right. So I can tell
That's
you,
her mantra. That's
Mary
her mantra.
is very careful about the information that's given is tried and true, and she is open to. In fact, we had talked about possibly having someone talk about alternative medicine and holistic, but again, she wanted to make sure they were from a university setting, and I don't think we were able to get anybody here.
Okay, I'll actually chime in on that. So I don't know if you guys heard me earlier this morning, but we actually are redoing our website, and we hear this all the time. Everybody, why haven't you had complementary and alternative medicine? I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this. And it's our belief that there are a lot of good complementary and alternative medicines out there. But we really believe that as we are dealing with your medical needs, we believe that the research needs to be published. So we have a whole section that is going to be on complementary and alternative medicine, but it will be research that has been published and has been looked over and reviewed, and so that we know that it's legitimate complementary and alternative medicine.
That's always, it's got to be scientifically proven. It's not just, taking a coconut off a tree and drinking, and then help me. It's got to be real, solid scientific data, just like the doctors that were here today.
Exactly. And Lee Krug, he has, there's a lady up in the New York area, Kathleen Wessa, who we've had speak here before, and there's others that actually have helped us with the section, so that giving us good information that we know is legitimate and has been reviewed by medical people.
Right. And many of the cancer centers are now offering that information. I know I am at Johns Hopkins, and I know that they have an alternative medicine physician who does some of that. So I think it is out there, but we've just been very careful, as Rich and Melinda said, to make sure that it is truly scientific and that there's data to back it and that they have published on it. But again, as a patient,
Yeah, and if you want,
You have
actually,
other
the
choices.
speech, we recorded the speech, Kathleen West's speech, so it's really interesting. I learned a ton the last time she spoke, so you can look it on the web.
And those will be available on our website?
Yes.
Through search, okay. So does that answer your question? Okay.
I just wanted to reiterate the sense of community that this foundation has. It's not just among ourselves. One of the things that we have found is the more you talk to people about this disease, the more lives you touch. So it's, if each and every patient, caregiver, friend that you have uses your email, your social contacts, talks to the people in the supermarket line about this disease. Talk to your doctors. Doesn't have to be your primary or your oncologist. You could talk to your eye doctor. And you'd be surprised how many people just may know someone that can use the help that we can give them. My primary doctor called me up one night and said, I have a cousin in Oregon who has been diagnosed. I don't know what to tell him. Could you call him? So you have to be a little bit vocal, which I am, of course, wherever you are. And the foundation also has pamphlets. If you go to a doctor, if you go to a pulmonary doctor, you go to your gynecologist, it doesn't matter. Leave a few pamphlets, hand them to the doctor, put them in the office where they have all these crappy pharma policy pamphlets that you can see. Just reach out and touch someone all the time, and you'd be surprised how this word gets out about the Miso Foundation. And on Meso Day, absolutely, on September 26th, not only come to Rockefeller Center, make it your business to come there. And let me tell you, they now know what mesothelioma is on the TV news. And if you put posters up in your local government, you get in touch with your councilman, who will get in touch with your mayor, who will get in touch with all the other council people. Those are also the representatives you want, because they also know your senators and your congressmen on a personal level. They'll get you in the door. You belong to a union, get in touch with the union reps. Make your voices heard. That's how this foundation has gotten where it's been. The community is absolutely, unbelievably infinite.
What did we have, 75 people there last year?
Yeah, I think it was at least.
There's nothing like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going down to Rockefeller Center. And
In the rain.
And standing on line, 75 yellow shirts, standing in line, everybody's looking at you. Who the hell?
Right.
But you know what? We all loved it.
Right. And one of the things, besides, we want to make sure that you all know what the foundation can do for you. But just like Bonnie said, there is so much that everybody can do personally. And, another part of the mission is getting the word out about the diagnosis. So many primary care physicians do not know what mesothelioma is, do not include in their histories. And I'm a nurse, so I've heard many doctors taking histories. They don't ask if you've had exposure to asbestos. And after 30 or 40 years, when in my case, and Mike had owned a business at this point, he wasn't doing what he did 40 years ago, and forgot about ever possibly being around asbestos. And maybe if the doctor had asked him, and he got his yearly chest x-rays, and they had seen something that they would chalk off to just getting older, as I was told when I had a chest x-ray, that can happen, they might have looked a little farther, and maybe early people would be detected earlier. So it's getting the word out about the diagnosis too, and a lot of primary carers need that information. So anybody else have
I know that there's probably some new people here, and if it doesn't matter if you're a caregiver, if you're a patient or whatever, and when you are new, it's scary. And I remember before this, I had never flown ever in my life. I had hardly ever traveled ever in my life, and this made me really come out of my comfort zone, and to do that because we lived in Illinois and we treated in New York. But we did, and we came to the foundation. Rob was diagnosed in, October of 2005, and it was too late for that symposium, but the next year we came to the symposium, and we had been every year until he passed, and then this is my first year without him. But they have just been unbelievable, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask somebody else, oh, well, I really shouldn't. No, ask them. We want to be asked. And, that's why I'm still here. I don't care where my life is. I will stay and fight this till the day I die. You know, that's all there is to it. And I know that everybody here is like that and wants that. And Rob and I were privileged to be some of the people that stayed at Laura and Rich's house as their guests. In that aspect, I have formed lifelong friendships. We went to Hawaii with people that we met from here. And Loring gave me my first bracelet that said, oh, this is the foundation. And that was at the Miracle House. There are Lifeline pilots. There are so many things out there. Just ask. Just don't be afraid to ask, because there's so many things that maybe think, well, I can't travel and it costs this much and blah, blah, blah. Other people have been there, and we'll try. You know, we'll do whatever we can. So I'm just very thankful that we have this organization and for the people.
Thank you.
Didn't we get you on a private jet at one time?
We were on Corporate Angels. Corporate Angels, and Rich picked us up to take us. It was over to Teterboro, wasn't it? But yeah, they're wonderful. We flew with them quite a few different times. Corporate Angels and Angel Flight is another really, really good one. So.
And we think we got rid of the coyote that was under the window that night that you stayed.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that wasn't really Rob doing the whistling. Okay.
Is there anybody else that has a suggestion or a comment that they'd like to make?
I wish this organization had existed in 1999 when my son Adam became ill. It was 99. It was a long time ago. And I am so grateful to still be part of this. I am so hopeful for all of you who are here. There are so many new faces, which I find incredibly exciting. And Cam, is Cam here? There he is in the corner. Cam is sort of what you were just talking about, is you talk to people about who you are and what you do and what you're about and what you have going on. I was over for dinner at some friends, and we were talking about getting together a couple of weeks from then. I said, oh no, I'm heading off to Washington and for the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation, but what is it you do there? And the story came out. I'd never told them before. And all of a sudden it got really quiet, and both the husband and wife pulled out their cell phones and started texting furiously, and I didn't know what was going on. And they said, we have a friend whose husband was just diagnosed with mesothelioma. We didn't even know how to pronounce the word. And it's Cam, and he's here. And so which is so wonderful to be able to come here and get the support and get the help, hear the doctors, speak to the doctors, speak to each other, network with each other. We were just talking about complementary and alternative medicine, and what we refer to as traditional medicine, which is in the Western traditional. For other people, traditional medicine is acupuncture. So we have to be careful how we use our words. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, as I am, talk to other people here and see what it's done for them. Has it made them feel better? It's known to be a great pain reliever, acupuncture, for example. But talk to people and find out what they're doing until something comes up on our website. And it will only be something that has been properly researched, not just somebody's narrative, not just an empirical thing by one person. And that's what you can be sure of happens with this foundation, is the information you get has been researched, it's peer-reviewed, it's totally transparent, you know exactly what's going on. And again, if you have any questions, what's the answer? Ask Mary, right? We know Mary. I don't know, she needs to sort of, I don't know.
Anna, maybe we should make some T-shirts.
Clone herself, divide hers. Yeah,
but not for Mary.
But now we now we also have Ask Anna.
Well, I could never begin to know what Mary knows about meso, but you know, maybe another way to help her to make her more accessible to patients. So.
Right. So you don't have to be afraid anymore when you're here. I found out the first year I came to a symposium, which actually was here in Las Vegas, and I was terrified. My husband and I were both terrified. It was our first year. and we didn't know which way to turn and who to talk to, and everybody just seemed to know each other. Everybody was so happy. And I couldn't understand why everybody was so happy. What are they happy about? It's a horrible illness. And people are laughing and joking and having such a wonderful time. And after a while, I realized that mesothelioma can actually be quite funny on some level. But above all, what it does by coming here, it brings us together. And we have a fellowship of people who understand, really, really understand. And there is joy in being together and supporting each other. And when you leave tomorrow, those of you who are here for the first time, you will be so grateful that you had the courage to come here and to take that first step. And when you come here next year, actually we'll be in Washington area next year, and you see these people that you met here this year, it'll be like seeing good friends, and you'll just pick up where you left off. So I am so grateful to see so many people that I've seen here over the years, and who continue to come. And I also vouch, like you, until they take me out feet first, I'll be coming to the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation Symposium. So, and I want to see you all, at all of them. I plan to live a very long time, so you better start saving your money so you can come to all the symposia.
Thanks. I just wanted to say a brief thing that happened to me today. I went down to the spa to have a pedicure, and you talk about advocacy. I happened to have my tag on, and the lady that was doing my nails said to me, the Mesothelioma Foundation, what are you doing with that? And I told her, and she said, my dad has mesothelioma. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah, he's 75 years old, but he won't do anything about it. And I said, well, is he seeing a doctor? And she said, yeah, but he's just a regular physician, and him and my mom are very afraid and don't really want to talk about it. So that's all I talked to her about when I was getting my nails done. I spoke to her, I gave her all the information about the foundation, wrote my personal phone number down, the foundation's number down. I talked to her about Mary, of course, but I told her that her or her father or mother could talk to me anytime, day or night, call me, that they're not in this alone, that they had to get to the right doctors, that just going to an internal medicine doctor is not going to prolong his life, that they have to get to a specialist as soon as possible. But he feels good now. He's feeling good. And I said, well, that's great. This is the time he needs to get the help while he's feeling good. So something as simple as this, just having this tag on and walking around here, you can do advocacy and talk to people and spread the word. So I just wanted to say, like Jill, and I've only missed one symposium. I lost my husband in 2009, but he battled for 11 years with peritoneal mesothelioma, and I will fight this till they take me out feet first also. I am committed to this disease because I see new faces every time I come here, and until I don't see a new face, this battle has not been won, and there has got to be a cure. There's too much pain. I know the pain that my family's gone through, and there are people I've just come to know and love in this room, and it's just a heartbreaking thing, and all of us can make a difference. And the people that are here for the first time, you have come to a new family. We have become your family in a very, very hard circumstance, but we are your new family. So embrace us. We would embrace you. We are here for you 24/7. Because if you wake up in a panic at 3 in the morning, you can call me. I've called other people at 3 in the morning when I felt like I couldn't breathe, and they've been there for me. So I know that we'll be there for you.
So I think Mary wants to say something very briefly, and then we will be coming to the end.
First of all, that's community. Right there, that's community. But the thing I wanted to say is, somebody's mentioned questions. How many of you were diagnosed, went to the doctor, did not know what to ask? See a few hands, yeah. We didn't know what questions to ask either. Tom made a whole list, but there were still some we didn't know what to ask. And that's part of this community too, and part of the foundation. You can find out what questions to ask to get the information you need. Was that easy?
That was very nice. Here, I'll let you hold it. So if there's nothing else, well, if you're already a part of our foundation, we want to make sure you know we're here for you. And I think we've mentioned a lot of the things that we can do for you and how you can help to get the word out for the foundation. If you're not already a part of us, we certainly welcome you. And if you go to curemeso.org, you will find all the information about the foundation, information about the disease, the treatments, all of our names, email addresses, when the support groups are. And I believe the information about Facebook is probably on there, Melinda, I think. So everything that you need is there, but all of our phone numbers are on there so that if you need to speak to someone, and our email addresses, you can get to all of us. So I think Rich has one more thing.
And don't miss Shelley and Erica's fundraising session right after this.
Right.
Two dynamic people. You're not gonna, you won't be disappointed.
Thank you
you
all for coming.